you want to do an intro?
You're better at the intros than me.
Okay. Well, this doesn't really count as an episode anyway. Okay, so welcome to Not a Piercing Wizard podcast. This is basically just a short preview for the 2025 Association of Professional Piercers Conference in Las Vegas. I'm Ryan, and you are?
Lola.
Lola Slider. We wanted to just kind of like throw something out there because a lot of people are heading out to Las Vegas right now. I've been seeing a flood on social media for the past few days of especially the international attendees slowly starting to trickle into the U.S. I saw that all my Brazilian friends are safe and sound in Las Vegas, and I'm sure that plenty more will be incoming. We're going to be working at our shop today and tomorrow, and then we're leaving at very early o'clock on Sunday morning, and then we'll be into Vegas on Sunday, and we're just gonna have to hit the ground running. So what does the Vegas experience feel like for you at this point after being a few times?
So I feel like I kind of have like a cheat code to Vegas because I have you. So
like I'm your Sherpa?
I don't have to worry about anything. So like the first, although I will still worry about things, I will still find things to worry about. But the first year that I went alone, like alone. And it was definitely a very different experience. I don't mind traveling to cities alone or to other countries alone, but it was certainly a lot to figure out where I was supposed to be going and what I was supposed to be doing. I think I was also quite lucky in that the first year that I went, it was the first year that they did it at Planet Hollywood. Mm-hmm. So kind of nobody had 100% figured out where it was they were going, so it was a bit easier to blend in. But all the subsequent years I've been with you, so I just skip along behind you wherever it is that we're going and don't really have to worry.
I think Planet Hollywood is the best hotel that it's been in so far because the proximity of the towers to the conference area. I like that the conference area is like up on that mezzanine and it feels a little bit separated from like the hubbub of the hotel. I don't really like having to like wade through the casino spaces because like they still allow smoking indoors in casinos, and it always feels really stark because a lot of America you can't smoke inside except for Las Vegas. So you're just like wading through a cloud of cigarette smoke all week. I'm not really looking forward to that bit. So Sunday will be like check-in day. So we're going to throw out like a couple of random pieces of information, advice, and just like little tips for the week as we go. But Sunday will be the first day of badge pickup. So if you get a chance, Sunday night, head to the mezzanine area and collect your badge. Start collecting your ribbons. You are going to have a super secret ribbon related to something that we mentioned on the podcast previously.
Is it a secret ribbon?
Well, okay, I guess not. Do you want to say what it is?
Well, I posted about it in the members forum or the conference attendees forum. I forget. I think it was the conference attendees forum like a month ago.
Well, I don't remember exactly what episode it was, but it was one of our semi-recent episodes where you mentioned the concept of spiritual prolapse.
Yeah.
So you have ribbons that say, "I'm having a spiritual prolapse."
Yeah. And I think that there will be a lot of people there that will relate to the feeling of having a spiritual prolapse, whether or not they ever listened to the episode where we talked about it. I think it's still relevant, especially for first-time conference attendees.
Right.
Very
That's a
relevant.
spiritual prolapse.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some Piercing Wizard ribbons, and you'd have to come by our expo booth to grab those. I think that's how I'm going to do it. Maybe I'll trickle a few out Sunday night, just pepper them around for the people. But I was thinking about either giving them away to like people who have been guests on the podcast, or I don't know, I guess just whoever comes up and asks me for one first until they run out. We're going to be doing a lot of merch this year, so I don't want to fully give the designs away yet because, again, in audio form, it's not quite as exciting as like seeing pictures. But all the merch that I order for this year I had it shipped directly to Las Vegas, so I don't get to see it until Monday when we go to set up our booth in the expo. So Monday I'll post some pictures of it, but just like the last few years, we're going to have an exclusive shirt for our Patreon supporters. So you have to be an active supporter on the $15 Archmage tier, and it has to be your account. But you can come by the booth in Expo. You have to just basically open up the Patreon app and show me that you're an active subscriber, and you can get a free t-shirt. It's a really cool design. It's Lola's design, although they were kind of all your design because you have better ideas than I do. So you can look forward to that one, but we're going to post the preview of it on Monday if you're keeping track.
So we have that new design, another new design, that's going to be available to anybody.
Prince related.
Yeah. And pin badges, we have some new pin badge designs and sticker designs, and I really like walking around and seeing people like with our silly cute little things on them in various forms. I think that it's really very wholesome, and I like being able to like provide little fun things that people can take home to their coworkers that couldn't make it. Like every year there's always people that are like, I need a bunch of these so I can take them back for like all my staff and stuff. It's just very cute.
Yeah, I think lots of people when they go to events like concerts or whatever, they want to have like a little keepsake that doesn't cost them $500. So we're going to have lots of little keepsakes that will not cost you $500. So you can stop by.
And I tell you about the best thing.
What's the best thing?
So obviously it's a big year, it's a gauntlet, 50 years. A lot of people are going to be showing up with really exciting things to give away. None of that matters because I'm bringing chocolate from the United Kingdom. And it's in a purple box. So
and you haven't eaten it all already.
So because of my terrible jet lag, I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, which is for me like late morning, and I'm starving. Like I'm ravenously hungry, and this box of chocolates has just been sat next to my suitcase taunting me all week. Like every morning I wake up and I'm like, I just want to eat that entire box. And no one would know, so I'm putting it out there so that people know to expect it, so that I can in fact eat it.
You're really brave.
It is really brave. Yeah. But I'm putting it out there that I'm bringing chocolates from the UK. I got a box of Heroes. I think they're called. Yeah, it's a box of Heroes. So like Heroes are like lots of little mini chocolate bars that you could buy in full size. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like how you're explaining the concept of like fun size to an American.
Some chocolates like roses and stuff. The roses that are in them, they only exist in that format. So not all like little mini chocolates are minis of bigger things. Yeah.
Halloween size candy, but we're gonna have some candy at the booth. So come by the booth basically. So we're gonna do like a quick little like recap of the week. So Sunday is early check-in day. If you are an instructor for any of the classes, there's also going to be an instructors meeting on Sunday night, which I believe is the first year that they're doing an instructors meeting for everyone, mandatory on Sunday night. Monday, if you are a new attendee, I would strongly suggest you go to orientation because it gives you a lot of helpful information about how to make the most out of your week. It's only an hour, I think, something like that. Then there's the mentors meeting, so new attendees can also get put together with somebody as a mentor and help them, again, make the most out of the week, because like sometimes when you go as a new attendee, you get a little bit overwhelmed thinking that you have to take every class and you have to go to everything and you have to it's not really possible for one person to do everything. So I think it's better to kind of focus on the things that will benefit you the most, based on where you are in your career or what your interests are. Also on Monday, we're going to be doing a new version of Safe Practices in the Piercing Room. Do you want to talk about that at all?
So we've done Safe Practices in the Piercing Room a couple of years now. It's a really great core fundamental class, whether you're newer to piercing or you want a refresher or you're just looking to, get some validation that you're doing things the same as your peers. It's a really good class to go to. if you just want to make sure that there aren't those little things that you're doing in your service that can't be fine-tuned a little bit. So it's a really good class, and it's great that it's kind of opening up the week as well, because I think sometimes you go to classes but there's fundamental bits of information you don't understand. So I actually think it's great that this one is coming up really early in the week, because I think it will help better inform some of the subsequent technique classes that people watch. But we've previously done it demo style, where we have lots of things that we kind of, like trying on gloves and showing various props and things in the class. And sometimes it can be a little bit chaotic with the amount of things that we have to show.
Especially in the time limit that we usually have.
In the time limit that we have as well. So this year we have a photo presentation. So we're able to hopefully give everybody in the class a really clear view of what they're looking at without having to do any camera magic, like when you have to wear the little GoPro thing or use the little mini cameras to try and show stuff. So I think that it'll be a little bit more seamless, and just make sure everyone gets a uniform view of the class. And you'll also get to look at my studio space, Ryan's studio space as well, and let's face it, we all like having a nosy at each other's workspaces.
Yeah, it's really just talking about the different ways that you can still do things correctly. So it's not really like you have to do it this one rigid way. It's going to show you a bunch of different ways that you can apply safe practices in your studio. Lola's got a disposable workflow. I've got the whole reprocessing area in my studio. So we talk about all the different ways that you can incorporate basically the same information. So I think that's one of my favorite classes. And there's a free handout. So that kind of ties me into, you want the app. Like in previous years, there were physical booklets and all these different things. But now, just like everything else, it's all digital. So there's an app for the conference. The APP app, which is funny to type in emails. But download the app. It will show you your full schedule for all your registered classes. It will show you maps for all the different areas. What classroom is this one going to be in, and how do I get there? It'll show you a map of the vendor floor. So if you want to find a certain vendor, especially fast, you definitely want the app. And there's a lot of other helpful information. There are going to be push notifications for updates throughout the week. Sometimes classes change to a different room, bigger or smaller, based on how many people have registered for it. So it's really helpful. It's definitely something that you're going to need to get through the week efficiently, because Las Vegas, like casinos, the conference space, it is a bit of a maze. And if you don't already know where you're going, you don't want to end up late to a class or something. Tuesday is going to be, I think, one of the bigger days for just about everybody, because that's when Expo opens up. So the first hour of Expo is APP members only. I know a lot of people are excited to get in there and grab the deals, grab conference exclusive things, and start doing their shopping. So if you're an APP member, you can line up an hour early, and then you can get in there before everybody else, and you can get your best shot at what you're looking to get. But make sure that you stop by our booth, because we're going to have a Piercing Wizard booth. We're going to have those Patreon shirts. We're going to have a bunch of other shirts for sale, a bunch of pins, new styles, refreshes of old styles. I'm going to have my Defend Piercing shirt in that kind of gauntlet purple. I'm going to have a new Statum Cult shirt, and we're going to have 2 brand new designs too. And we'll post a preview about that on probably our Instagram, some sort of social media on starting on Monday. Tuesday, I also get to teach my nipple class in the big room.
Yeah.
I was very jealous of you last year when you got to do your bridge class in the Uba room to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of peers. You looked really cool. You looked really important. So
yeah.
Now I get to do it. I get to do the big room this year for my updated nipple piercing class, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, we have a kind of I wouldn't say a competitive thing, but each year one of us ends up in a big room and one of us ends up in a tiny room. I know that's happened to us a few different years. So each year we're am I big room or tiny room? And this year you're big room.
Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't actually been able to teach a technique class since before COVID. The last few years I've been doing primarily safe practices type things and safety and technical information. So I'm happy to be getting back into maybe some of the more technique based stuff. at a conference this year.
Because in the UK conference, you always do technique stuff. So I see you doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like you just haven't really had a chance to do it in the US conference.
I mentioned that to Becky Dill. Becky Dill is a big part of the curriculum committee, and I mentioned that to Becky, and she seemed pretty surprised by it, because I think like I'm just constantly like, I'm going to be teaching this class and going here and going there. But I think somebody just didn't notice that I hadn't done a technique class in Vegas for like five years or something, like 5 or 6 years, really. Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a workshop about how to work with needles and needle blanks. So there's going to be a lot of different information that will actually be like workshop. Safe Practices Now is going to be more of a slideshow, a lecture presentation, a lot of like photos for support, so you won't have to like imagine things. But the needle workshop will be like a traditional workshop, like hands-on, playing around with stuff, live demonstrations, like up-close magic. And I'm looking forward to that. I'll have a few co-instructors that I'm working with, and we're just going to show some different ways to utilize needles and needle blanks. What are some of the other classes that you're doing? I know that you've been working really hard on them.
So my solo class for this year, which is still amazing that I get to do a solo class. I'm really appreciative.
As a senior instructor,
I'm really appreciative of the opportunity. Is my transitioning away from externally threaded jewelry class. And I think it's probably one of my favorite classes that I've made, and also probably one of the least seen classes that I've done, because I think that audiences are generally smaller for classes that are geared towards, hey, are you not using great jewelry? Would you like to get better? Here's a class for that. I feel like there is a little layer of like shame and embarrassment where people are like, oh, if I go to that class, it's going to be an admission that I'm not using great jewelry and people are going to know. And like, I just think that mentality is just going to hold you back for the longest time, because you have somebody there saying, hey, I'm going to tell you how to do this because I have done it in various formats over the years. So this is information on that exact thing. And, you know, you just can't, that little bit of shame or embarrassment, it's something that's within you. It's entirely self-imposed. It's not coming from anyone else. So, you know, if it's something that you're interested in learning about, I would definitely check it out, because the class is really just all the information that I wish that I had had 15 years ago that would have saved me a lot of money and effort. And I also think that it's worth keeping in mind that what is low quality jewelry is a spectrum. Like there's
and it's a moving target, because sometimes you can break into internal threadless jewelry, and then you can learn that whole Pandora's box of like the spectrum of quality even among that.
So, you know, it's not just as black and white as you're using externally threaded and then internally threaded. You know, there's a whole spectrum of quality, and the information can be applied really wherever you're at in your journey when it comes to sourcing stock from different manufacturers and things. So yeah, I would definitely go if it's something that you're interested in. The class is called, I think it's called Transitioning Away from External.
You wrote it.
Well, it's got quite a wordy title.
Yeah, I think it's Transitioning Away from External Thread Jewelry.
Yeah, and it's really about navigating that conversation with your clients as well, because one of the biggest hurdles that we face is having a client base and then transitioning to a different type of jewelry that costs a lot more, and then expecting them to pay that whilst acknowledging that the previous stuff you sold them wasn't great.
Yeah.
So that actually puts us in a very difficult position from a sales perspective. So that's something that the class focuses on, how to navigate. So hopefully people will turn up for it.
It's a really good class. I saw you do it at BMX, or an early version of it. I saw you do it at BMX last year, and I think it can be really helpful for people, but it puts a thought in my mind that I always want to say out loud, especially leading into conference season, is like, if you're newer to conference, if you still feel like you're on the outside looking in, if you don't feel like you're part of like the cool kids team or something like that, like that's a feeling that both Lola and I can relate to quite a bit. Which might sound like, silly coming from people that are like putting out a piercing podcast and talking about being there multiple times, but we were there as first-time attendees too. There were big portions of our career where we were both using external thread jewelry, and we didn't have all the things that might have been on somebody's wish list. So I always want to like remind people that like career growth is important to stay engaged with. So you don't have to like be hatched out of an egg as the world's perfect piercer, utilizing all the best of the whatever. It's a process, and you want to kind of focus on your incremental growth and be proud of that incremental growth. Don't go into it thinking that like you're not worthy of being there. They're all just piercers. I saw somebody post something on Facebook within the last couple of days that resonated with me, where it's like, you can have piercers that you look up to, but maybe it's not a great idea to hold piercers up as like heroes, because it kind of takes away from like the personal relatable element of it. Like, every good piercer that I know has worked on it, and they've gotten better over time. So like, I'm a big believer that like, you shouldn't judge somebody for where they are today. You should try to think about like what you can do to support them like moving forward. So we're all there to learn. We're all part of the same team, and I appreciate everybody that shows up to engage with conference.
So in terms of career goals, this year you and I are both getting to take part in the members workshop, which I know is something that you've wanted to do for a long time.
Yeah, so I've been going to conference since 2002, and
I was 12 in 2002. You pervert.
Anyway, so the first, I don't know how many years, the first 10 years or so that I was going to conference, I wasn't a member. I couldn't go to those members technique classes or any of the members only classes at all. And then, when I got the opportunity to become a member and start going to those members only classes, I just thought that the people teaching it were like just the coolest people, because it's like you have these tiers of just like, well, I'm a baby piercer, and then it's like I'm an APP member piercer, and then it's like I'm an instructor, and then I'm the one instructing the other members, and it feels like a big career goal to me. And I've been a big fan of that teaching style, that whole like open techniques type style, where somebody asks a question and then you just explain it and you're like, this is how I do it. And you do simulated piercings, or you use models, or you use examples and stuff. So I'm really excited to do that. I think you and I are both really comfortable with that teaching style, because like we've done it at BMX and UK, and we've done it in so many different settings that I think we're gonna have a lot of fun doing it. What do you think about doing it, famous international body piercer Lola Slider?
I don't love doing workshop style teaching. I feel like I've just been thrown into it so many times now that I can do a really good impression of someone that's good at it. But I do feel a lot of dread not having a plan and not having a structure and not knowing what someone's going to ask or what I'm going to have to do. So like, I feel like I'm pretty good at like, balancing on that ball for an hour. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely like, my heart's just racing the entire time.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it'll be great. Like we I think are always able to keep a positive energy. But like, it does stress me out not having any kind of a safe
teaching format.
Yeah, like that kind of safety net of knowing that this is something that you've practiced over and over again.
Right.
Like we've talked before about how when I do my solo classes, I like practice them like alone all the way through. So I'm very comfortable with not looking, and I know what's going to be next and everything. So like, not having that is definitely not easy for me, but I still want to give 100% and just try and contribute as much as I can.
Well, that's a pretty full week. Thursday night will be when conference starts to wind down, but it's definitely not over. There'll be the closing party. So if you want, you show up a little bit early with a ticket for food, or you can show up a little bit later to closing party if you want to just do, dancing, and there'll be some speeches and some other, notices and awards, plaques, that type of thing.
Ryan's also going to be wearing a very special outfit.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Should I say? I'm gonna be wearing my kilt. Lola got
Yeah.
me a kilt, so it's going to be. What's the phrase that we always use a million times over?
Do we have a phrase that
Cultural
pertains to
exchange.
kilts?
It's going to be our cultural exchange. I'm going to be wearing a kilt, and Lola will be wearing some fantastic outfit. Friday will be the last day of classes, and that's when Expo starts to break down and pack up. And then Saturday is when a lot of people will be heading home, us included. You're going to be going back to Glasgow. I'm going to be coming back to Nashua. And then the road just keeps on going.
Yeah. Well, I think that we should just maybe include a few things that you and I like to bring or to pack, just for people that are packing. Maybe they have their travel coming up today or tomorrow. I think that obviously there's the stuff that hopefully you'll have been beaten over the head with by now about making sure that you're hydrated and
Water
making sure
bottle.
that you have snacks
Sunscreen.
and sunscreen. Those are the definitely
And a
three
big floppy hat to keep
three
the sun off of you.
big things that you really need. But I also think that it's important to take an item or items that comfort you. So like Ryan brings for me my little travel tea kettle so that I can have tea in the hotel, because over here you don't have kettles and tea in the hotel rooms for some bizarre reason. So we're going to be bringing all of my tea apparatus so that I can stay hydrated, because I need to drink 6 to 8 cups of tea a day. Or if you have like a plushie or something that brings you comfort, just go ahead and bring it. Keep it in your hotel room, keep it in your bag. I think that travel on this scale, it's very disruptive to a lot of people's schedules. And if you are somebody that has a little bit of difficulty with social interaction or anxiety, not having anything there to ground yourself is just a recipe for disaster. So don't feel silly or childish or anything like that, packing stuff that brings you comfort. If you think that it's going to comfort you and help make you feel good in a stressful environment where your sleeping pattern's all over the place, just go ahead and chuck it in your suitcase.
Yeah. Also, like, the food experience can be pretty intense for people, especially if they're newer to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is not a cheap city to visit. So just outside of the conference hotel is a little shopping center, like a little walk-through mall area. And there's a restaurant called Ocean One, and it's like really, really cheap food. You can go there and get a really inexpensive breakfast or lunch. It's not the fanciest food, but it's a lot more affordable than some of the other Las Vegas options. So Ocean One, we end up eating there a couple of times during the week. Another big thing that it's not exactly like conference, it's when you come home from conference. Like, don't feel like you have to do everything, because it's unrealistic to come home with a list of 20 goals or whatever and think that you can do all of it on the first week that you're back. You're just going to break down crying if that's how you try to do it. So make a little list. Make a list of the things that you're interested in and have them be maybe short-term goals, maybe long-term goals. But realize that, like, Rome wasn't built in a day, and your piercing shop doesn't have to be either. So try to look at it as something that's sustainable. Sustainable growth is going to be really important when you come home from conferences. Don't get too pressured in trying to make all the changes on day one. Any other tips you might have for people?
I mean, kind of, and it's a little bit, I would say embarrassing. I'm not embarrassed, so like, I know for other people, but like, we do this thing when we pack where we pack all of our like prettiest clothes, which makes sense because you want to look your best self for an event like this where people are you're going to be seeing more people than you see all year probably. But our prettiest clothes are not always our most comfortable clothes. And sometimes when people are traveling long distances, it can be disruptive to their bathroom habits. And sometimes you can wind up wearing an incredibly structured inflexible outfit when you haven't been to the bathroom in 5 or 6 days. And nobody likes how that feels. Like, it's horrible. So you need to bring a constipated outfit, a constipated outfit. One constipated outfit, you know, something that will make you like feel confident and look good whilst you haven't been to the bathroom in 5 days. Like, you will thank me. Just chuck it in the suitcase. I'm telling you. What day does conference start? Monday. So by like Wednesday, Thursday, some of you are going to be wearing these outfits and you're going to thank me. So that would be my advice. Pack a constipated outfit.
So I shouldn't bring my Batman costume?
You can bring your Batman costume. We can let it out.
Maybe one last tip is don't spend your entire expo budget on the first day of expo. Unless you have a plan. If you have a plan of what you want to buy for your shop, you know, if there are discounts or exclusive whatevers, but I see it every year. People blow all their money on the first day of expo, and then the rest of the week they're just like, I can't afford to do that. All right, so we're going to wind it down. Again, download the app. Again, please stay hydrated. It's going to be like 100 degrees in Las Vegas all week. The sun will just set you on fire. We're going to be teaching a bunch of stuff, and come visit us in the expo. Is there anything else you want to wrap up with?
No, I think I'm good with constipation outfit.
Yes, thank you for talking about that on the podcast. All right, we will see everybody in Las Vegas. Stay safe.
Bye.
For more information about the show, visit piercingwizardpodcast.com or like Piercing Wizard Podcast on Facebook. For more info about your host, visit precisionbodyarts.com or search Ryan PBA on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr. If you enjoy the show, you can subscribe on iTunes, Apple Podcast, and Google Play. Music by Benny B. Blanco. Show copyright 2017, Precision Body Arts LLC, all rights reserved.